Hello gang, welcome back to Board Game Bananas. Today we are talking Neverland's Legacy, a cooperative board game set in the world of Peter Pan. One of the things that's quite unique about this game is that you can either play as the good guys, in which you are playing as Peter Pan and his friends who are trying to rescue Wendy's brothers who have been captured by pirates. Or you can play this game as the pirates trying to capture those brothers. It's quite unique in a board game that you can play one side or the other. In this video, I'm going to be explaining how to play, and I'm going to be doing it mostly from the perspective of you playing as Peter Pan, but it's kind of similar playing one side or the other, so I'll be explaining some of the differences along the way. But without further ado, let's get set up. Set up the board as shown. There you go, done. Now, but to go through it in a bit more detail, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be moving along this ship. These are the three different decks. You've got the top deck, middle deck, and bottom deck. And you'll be moving throughout those to look for Wendy's lost brothers. When you're playing as Peter Pan, then you want these this side up. You don't want it to be this side up. That's what you do when you're playing as the pirates. Then you're basically trying to capture them from the islands of Neverland. But yeah, when you're playing as Peter Pan, this side up, you want the three boards placed like this. Each player then takes a player board, and if you're playing as Peter Pan and the good guys, have it this side up. The other side where it says it is the enemy, that is only used when you're playing as the pirates and Peter Pan gets drawn on as an enemy. So have it with the Lost Allies side up over here. Equally, what you'll do is you'll take the standee for the player that you're playing as and place it in Neverland over here. Each player takes their own person, and if you're playing solo, you take two and play two-handed. Next, you'll need to prepare the search deck. Start by taking out all of the cards that have a player count in the corner that is larger than however many players you're playing with. In this case, I'm setting it up for a two-player game, so cards with 3p and 4p get taken out and put back in the box. Then, the number of hostages you're going to be playing with, in this case, is 2. So what I'm going to do is I take those 2 out of the search deck, and then I make one pile of 4 cards, one pile of 8 cards, and then I take the 2 hostages and I shuffle them into the cards that are remaining in my hand. Then I take these remaining cards, I place them on top of the pile of 8, and then I place the pile of 4 on top. The reason why you do this is because then you know that the first 4 searches are not going to get a hostage, and equally a hostage is not right at the bottom of the search pile. It makes the game the right length of time. Next, take the top 4 cards from the threat deck, and then place enemies among the ship as shown. In this case, there is a blue guy in this area, which is why I've put a blue guy here, and there's another one down here in the hold, as well as a search token going down here as well. Do that 4 times, and in this case, I've ended up with enemies and search tokens in these positions. And setup really is that simple. During the gameplay, each character is going to be taking 4 actions out of the 6 possible actions listed on the card. I'll go through each one in a second. And yes, you can do the same action more than once. However, at the very beginning of your turn, if you have a despair token up here, that basically means you've been a little bit scared before, or even a little bit wounded. You're not acting completely rationally. So in this case, I've got 2 despair tokens. I shall roll the 2 stones of chance, as the rules call them, although they're very similar to dice. And basically, since I've got these 2 symbols, this one means fight, and this one means courage. That means that of my 4 actions this turn, 1 has to be fight, 1 has to be courage. If I'm not ever in a position where I can fight or use courage, then that action is simply removed and I only get to use 3 actions in that case. This mechanic I really, really like, by the way, that the more despair you get, the more your actions are being controlled for you, and you're sort of losing control slightly. So what are the 6 possible actions you can take? Well, one of them, of course, is to move. And you do that simply by moving either to an adjacent part of the ship. You'll notice as well that there are stairs going up and down, and it says where they go. And you can also fly between Neverland and the top deck of the Jolly Roger. One note there, though, is that if I move into an area that has an enemy, I'm not then allowed to move out of it in the same turn. So I wouldn't be able to move in here, kill him, and then move out again. I would have to do that in separate turns. But that's not true if I start the round in an area with an enemy. Another action you can take is to fight. If I'm in the same location as an enemy, I am able to simply fight them, and then that is that. There are also named enemies that come on later on, and they are a little bit more difficult to kill, but fighting these guys is as simple as I've just shown. I'm also able to search. If I'm in the same location as a search token, and if there are no more enemies in this same location, then what I do is I take this one off the board, and then I reveal the top card in the search deck, and look, in this case I got some treasure, which I'll be able to use later on. Another action you can take is to taunt the enemies. This is basically to say, hey, look at me, I'm over here, come and get me. And then an enemy in an adjacent location will move over to try and kill you, and then you can kill him. The reason why you might want to do this is either if there are multiple enemies in the same place and you got Peter Pan's special ability where you can fight two people at the same time, or it will be for the reason I said about moving, that if I want to go in here, kill this guy, and then move down the stairs, I wouldn't be able to do that. But what I could do is taunt, so that he comes over here, I can kill him, and then I can move after that. So taunting is another option that you can do. Another action you can take is courage, and basically what this means is you stay where you are and you remove a despair token from your board. This is brilliant because then you're not rolling so many despair dice in your next turn. And finally, if you have previously been wounded, then you can rest, which means that you can recover from the wound. It is worth pointing out that if you get the rest symbol on the Stone of Chance, then you don't actually have to rest. You can basically do whatever you like with that action. So those are the 6 actions. They're slightly different if you're playing as the pirates, but playing as the Lost Allies, which is the rules recommend for your first game, those are the 6 things that you can do. It's worth considering as well that the different rooms and the different parts of the ship all have some kind of special ability. For example, if I'm fighting a named enemy in this part of the ship, I have a slight advantage. Or down here in the galley, if I end my turn there, I get to heal a wound for free without using that rest action. So yeah, bear in mind these little things here. They can impact when you're searching, when you're fighting enemies, when you're healing, and that type of thing. Each player also starts with a despair token. One of the things you can do with your despair token is to use it as a 5th action. So you get 4 actions on your turn, but you could spend a despair token to use a 5th action. Then after I've done my actions, we then take a threat card, which basically means that the bad guys, the pirates, get to do something. Some of them have a little bit of text at the top of the card, in which case that effect would happen right now. It can be things like waves hitting the ship so that people move forward and backwards. Then the next thing that happens, because this is a blue threat, that means that the blue pirates on the boat will activate. And on the back of the rulebook, there is a reference for basically what that happens and which order they do things in. In this case, because I'm not in the same location as any of the blue guys, what they will do, so this guy would actually move towards me, this guy would move over here because that's closer to a search token, this guy is in the same room as a search token, he would remove that, and then he would search. And yes, since the pirates are searching, it is entirely possible that they will find the hostages that you're trying to rescue before you find them. And if that happens, that is very, very bad. You've then got to go and rescue them. I mentioned the destiny tokens earlier. You can also use your destiny token instead of a 5th action. You can use it to change the colour of the threat that's being activated. Next up, I should tell you a little bit more about the different types of pirates. Pirates come in 3 different shapes and sizes. There's the blue brutes, the red raiders, and the yellow snipers. Each of them has some kind of special ability. In the case of the yellow sniper, it's that they can do damage to you when they're not only in the same location, but just on the same deck of the ship. They've got a very big sniper rifle, they can shoot you from a distance, watch out for that. For the raider, if you were to end up in the same location as a raider and they get activated by the red threat card, they're going to do 2 damage to you, which means that you get 2 wounds and 2 despair. And the brutes are quite simply harder to kill. You have to fight them twice in the same turn for a brute to be killed. If you only do 1 damage to a brute, it doesn't do anything, it just bounces straight off. They need 2 hits to be killed. When you've taken a threat card and you've done any possible text effects and then you've activated the colour, then it's time to place new enemies as shown in the picture. In this case, a brute and a search token are in this area, and then a search token appears at in the galley. And then at that point, it's the next player's turn. I've mentioned despair a couple of times. There are 2 main ways you can get despair. One of them is that when a threat is activated, in this case it's a red threat, we've got a red raider in the same place as Tinkerbell. This raider is then going to attack Tinkerbell, and as I've said, it does 2 damage. That means that Tinkerbell is going to take 2 wounds, which we place these symbols here, and when you take a wound, you then take despair. If you ever get so many wounds that you have 3 filled up there and then you need to take another one, then the character is considered fallen, which means that the other characters have to basically come and revive them. They have to come and wake them up. The second way you can get despair is if you take a threat card and then a new enemy appears in the exact same location as you. They've basically made you jump and suddenly you have more despair. Eventually, when you're taking a threat card, it is going to say named enemy, and then things are going to get really, really tricky. What you do then is you take the 3 standees for the other pirates that are not Captain Hook. You then shuffle them and take 1 randomly. In this case, I've taken Gentleman Starkey. What you do then is you take his standee, put it on the ship according to what it says on the player board. Do remember, have this on the side that says enemy, because he is now an enemy. This is the side you would have it on if you're playing as the pirates. This is the side you have it on when he's your enemy. The reason why this is really, really bad is because during a red threat, there are things that happen with him. During a blue threat, there are other things that happen with him. So the pirates on the ship are going to activate, and this guy is going to activate, and he's going to spawn more pirates as well. And also, as I've said, they're slightly harder to kill. If you ever end up having to place a 3rd named enemy on the board, you've automatically lost as well. So named enemies are really, really bad news. When you are searching and you find a hostage in this game, what you do is you take this little guy, put it on the board so you know where the hostage is. Then it's your job to escort them to the top deck of the ship. And then you better hope that you have some fairy dust, which is an item you can pick up in the search deck, and then you can fly with them to Neverland. When both dudes are over here on Neverland, then, well, I was going to say then you've won the game, but not quite. And that is because when the second hostage is revealed, the big, the bad, and the ugly Captain James Hook is about to enter the game. You win this game by rescuing both hostages and killing Captain Hook. Those are the 2 requirements that both have to be fulfilled in order to win the game. In order to lose the game, well, conveniently, that is much easier. There are 4 ways in which you can lose. One is if both of you guys are fallen, then there's nobody there to revive you, you've lost the game. Another way is if the pirates are able to kill one of the hostages, well, then you've failed in rescuing the hostages. Another way is if the search deck is empty, you're considered to have run out of time. And another way is if you get a 3rd named enemy who is supposed to be entering the fray, you have lost. That's how you play Neverland's Legacy. I would love to know what you guys think about this game. Have you played it before? Does it intrigue you more playing as the Lost Allies or as the Pirates? I've got a review video coming for this one next week, so do subscribe so that you don't miss that one. And yeah, in the meantime, take care, goodbye, and look after your hostages. Goodbye.